The airport terminal buzzed with early morning energy. Travelers hurried past, dragging bags and clutching boarding passes. Jasmine stood quietly near the long security line, dressed in plain clothes, a soft gray sweatshirt and faded jeans. Her worn-out backpack hung from one shoulder, its fabric faded from years of use. Around her, people tapped their feet, muttering complaints about the slow-moving lines. The air smelled faintly of coffee and the sterile scent of the airport. Jasmine kept to herself, checking her watch and shifting from one foot to the other. She was used to traveling alone, but today felt different. As she waited, she noticed the TSA agents scanning the crowd more sharply than usual. One agent's eyes lingered on her a little longer than anyone else's. Another whispered something under his breath, glancing back her way. It wasn't the first time she felt this silent judgment, but it stung anyway. Jasmine tried to ignore it, focusing on breathing deeply. But in a place where everyone was meant to be equal, she couldn't shake the feeling that she stood out, and not in a good way. As Jasmine finally reached the front of the security line, her heart sped up. The TSA agent asked her to step aside for extra screening. She nodded quietly, trying to hide her nerves. The agent, a man in his late 30s with a stern face, started going through her backpack slowly. He pulled out a notebook, a small packet of snacks, and a worn photo. Jasmine watched, feeling the weight of everyone's eyes on her. Then the agent asked, "Why are you traveling alone today?" Jasmine blinked. It wasn't a usual question. She looked up, meeting his eyes. "I'm visiting my mother," she said softly. "She's been sick." The agent's expression softened a little. "Where is she?" "In another state," Jasmine answered. "I haven't seen her in months." There was a pause. Other travelers shifted, some sneaking glances. The agent nodded and carefully packed her things back. "All right, you're clear," he said, handing her the backpack. Jasmine forced a small smile and thanked him before quickly moving on. As she walked away, she overheard a few people whispering behind her back. She wasn't sure if it was pity, judgment, or something else, but she felt more alone than ever. Jasmine finally reached her boarding gate. The room was crowded, with families chatting and travelers scrolling on their phones. She found a quiet corner to sit and pulled out her phone, scrolling through messages from her mom. Suddenly a loud voice broke the calm. "Hey, why is she even here? Doesn't look like she belongs," a teen sneered from a nearby group. Jasmine looked up and saw a tall boy with a smug smile, flanked by his friends. They were clearly talking about her. The boy, Dylan, was known at the school she used to attend before moving away. He was rich, confident, and never shy about putting others down. Jasmine's heart sank. She kept her gaze down, but Dylan's voice rose louder. "Probably thinks she's too good to be around us. Just some nobody with that ratty backpack." People nearby glanced over, some snickering, others uncomfortable. Jasmine's hands tightened around her phone. She wanted to ignore him, but the words stung deeply. Before she could say anything, a security officer walked by and noticed the tension. "Is there a problem here?" the officer asked firmly. Dylan smirked, "Just talking." The officer's gaze shifted to Jasmine, then back to Dylan. "Keep it down, everyone deserves respect," the officer said before moving on. Jasmine felt a mix of relief and embarrassment. She wished she could disappear. Just then, a woman's voice echoed from the front of the gate area. "Is this the behavior we want here?" It was Miss Carter, the airport's head supervisor. Her eyes scanned the crowd, landing on Dylan and his friends. "This is a place where people from all walks of life come together. We will not tolerate disrespect." The room fell quiet. Dylan's smirk faltered for a moment. Jasmine looked up, surprised by the unexpected support. Miss Carter stepped forward, her voice steady and calm, yet filled with quiet strength. "I want to share something important," she said. "There's a man who works here, in our airport. You probably don't notice him. He's quiet, he keeps to himself, but he's one of the most important people keeping this place safe." Jasmine glanced around as the crowd shifted, curiosity growing. Miss Carter continued, "Years ago there was a fire in one of the terminal buildings late at night. It could have destroyed everything. But one man was here, working late, who helped put out the fire before anyone else arrived. He stayed until the firefighters came and made sure no one was hurt." Her gaze softened. That man is Mr. Harris, one of our janitors. A few gasps spread through the crowd. Dylan looked surprised, his friends whispering nervously. Miss Carter looked directly at Dylan. Mr. Harris never talks about what he did. He doesn't ask for thanks or praise. He just does his job, quietly making this place better for all of us. Jasmine felt a lump in her throat. She thought about how easy it was to judge people by their appearance or their job. Miss Carter took a breath. We all have stories, we all deserve respect, no matter what role we play. There was silence, then a slow wave of nods and murmurs. Dylan looked down at his feet, no longer smirking. Miss Carter's words had changed the mood in the room. For the first time, Jasmine felt seen, not for her clothes or her backpack, but for who she was. After Miss Carter finished speaking, she invited Mr. Harris to the front. The janitor walked slowly, his face kind but reserved. He held his cap in his hands, looking surprised by the attention. Miss Carter began to share more about him. Mr. Harris wasn't always a janitor, she said softly. He was a science teacher and a military engineer before life took a hard turn. The crowd listened closely as Miss Carter told the story. Years ago, Mr. Harris lost his wife in a tragic car accident. After that, he decided to leave his old life behind to care for his daughter. He took this job to be near her as she went through school. His daughter loved this airport. Miss Carter said, voice trembling slightly, but she became very ill. 3 years ago she passed away. A heavy silence filled the room. But Mr. Harris stayed, Miss Carter continued. He stayed to protect this place his daughter loved, and to honor her memory every day. Jasmine felt tears prick her eyes. She realized how wrong it was to judge someone by what they do or what they look like. Dylan, standing awkwardly at the side, looked ashamed. His friends no longer laughed or whispered. Miss Carter turned to Dylan and said firmly, "You owe Mr. Harris and everyone here an apology." Dylan swallowed hard, nodding slowly. Dylan stepped forward, his cheeks flushed. The room held its breath as he faced Mr. Harris. "I'm sorry," Dylan said quietly, but clearly. "I shouldn't have called you useless. I didn't know anything about you. I was wrong." Mr. Harris looked at him kindly and nodded. "Thank you for saying that," he replied. The other travelers began to clap slowly, and the applause grew louder. Jasmine watched as the mood shifted. People who had whispered before now smiled warmly at Mr. Harris. Even Dylan's friends looked at him with new respect. Miss Carter spoke again. "This is a lesson for all of us. We never know the full story behind a person's life or their struggles. But we can always choose kindness and respect." In the days that followed, the airport felt different. People greeted Mr. Harris with smiles and thanks. Dylan, once loud and boastful, volunteered to help with cleanup and even started learning more about the workers around him. Jasmine saw the change and felt hope. Maybe kindness could truly make a difference. A week later, the airport felt warmer somehow. Mr. Harris walked through the busy halls with a quiet confidence. Travelers and staff alike greeted him by name, some even stopping for a brief chat. Near the main entrance, a new poster caught Jasmine's eye. It read, "Every role matters. Respect everyone you meet." Jasmine smiled softly, thinking about how much had changed since that tense morning. Dylan stood nearby, helping a family with their luggage. He no longer carried the arrogant air he once had. Instead, there was a hint of humility in his smile. At the next monthly gathering, Miss Carter invited Mr. Harris to speak. His voice was steady but gentle as he shared words about patience, kindness, and the importance of seeing people beyond appearances. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. Jasmine felt tears well up, not just for Mr. Harris, but for the hope that kindness can change hearts. In a place filled with strangers, a simple act of respect had sparked something powerful. And for Jasmine, this trip had become more than just a journey to visit her mother. It was a lesson she would carry with her forever.